Our next guests are a part of a new project. I mean, we're going to talk all about it, which is really exciting. Brand new song called Swords and Tequila, available now where music is sold. And I'm fully expecting a record from this group because, I mean, come on, look at the talent we got here. Alongside Mitch Lafon, we've got David Ellefson, Jeff Scott Soto, and Quebecois royalty, Rick Hughes. There he is, ladies and gentlemen.
That is right. Look at that. We've got the whole family here.
My only question is, what is Mitch going to do in the band?
Mitch is the tambourine. He's the sexy tambourine player off stage.
I'm the hair care
bass.
specialist.
Nobody likes the bass player. Yeah. You can play bass. How hard can it be? It's only 4 strings, right?
Yeah.
What's up, Rick?
Well, listen, I probably have more use than the drummer, so.
There you
go.
go. Well, look at this. We got the whole gang here. This is really exciting. I think this is like an exclusive, man. Like, I haven't seen the 3 of you on a Zoom yet, so this is pretty cool.
This is the very first one. Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for doing it. I know it's juggling schedules, and everybody's got stuff they're doing. And
well, I think when Mitch Lafon calls, I think you kind of take
when
call.
Mitch calls, the world stops. Come on.
That's right. That's right.
That's when shit gets real.
This is actually the first time I'm meeting Rick, so this is actually kind of cool because we did the song, basically David
virtually.
Virtually.
Yeah.
David was the one that kind of bridged this whole thing together, and I knew of Sword and I knew of Rick, but to actually put his voice in and hear the final product together, it was very exciting.
Yeah, and I'm not like the biggest like thrash fan or anything like that. Mitch has been telling me the story of Sword, and Megadeth was influenced by I feel like
right.
Rick Sword has really influenced a lot of those bands. I mean, David, was this sort of like a dream collab in a way?
Rick and I have been buddies now for a few years. We've actually put a couple of records for Sword out through my Combat Records. But I'm definitely a fan. It's funny, we sat in his pickup truck. He was on, you're doing like a Harley ride or something, I think, right? Across the country. And he came through Phoenix, and we sat down in his pickup truck, at a DoubleTree hotel here in Tempe. And he's like, dude, check out the new stuff. And Rick's the kind of guy, you go over to a guy's house and he's like, oh, dude, check out this solo. Blah, blah, blah. Man, wait for this drum part here, right? And I mean, Rick could sell you frickin', ice to an Eskimo, man. It's like when you're in the room with Rick, you're like, I don't know if that's a good song, but he says it is, and I think it is. It sounds pretty good, So he's a great salesman on top of being a great lead singer. But I mean, I should probably let Rick tell the story because he told me some stuff even that I didn't know.
Oh, cool.
Being on tour with Motorhead, playing at the Hammersmith Odeon, that was actually a live record that we put out through Combat. I did not know that Rick, you'd worked with Alice Cooper, and you told me a cool story that when Jason Newsted had just joined Metallica and they were coming across Canada to do the headlining tour of Master of Puppets, they specifically reached out to Sword to be the support act. I was like, wow, major ka-ching cred in my book. So I'll let you tell these stories, unless you'd rather me tell them.
That was amazing. First of all, everybody can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm always sweating bullets with those meetings.
No, as long as you don't speak French, we can even understand you.
That was a good choice of words, you have to admit.
It was a good intro.
First and foremost, I want to say thanks, Jeff. It's an honor for me. I've written it on many posts. I'm sure you saw it, and just the way you've just reached out to me to say hi, man. It's a great pleasure. It's a great honor. I'm a big fan of yours. I love your voice. I love your tone. I love your attitude.
Thank you, man.
My pleasure. Really.
Well, we have to thank David for that one.
Well, listen to this, Jeff. When he first reached out to me, now it's your time to sweat bullets. I
don't sweat bullets. I sweat tequila.
Yeah, exactly.
Swords and tequila.
I was talking about David because he reached out to me. I was coming back from a show, and you remember, David, I was driving, so my girlfriend was answering your message. Remember that?
Yeah. I do.
So she goes like that. She goes, "Oh, David Ellefson is writing to you. Is writing you."
Pay
That's how I
attention
feel
to
when
the road.
Jeremy
Eyes on
writes,
the
too.
road. Eyes on the road. Yeah.
Because she knows
Yeah.
I'm starstruck with David
Rick,
Ellefson.
that's exactly like Mitch LaFon. Anytime David texts, ooh, David Ellefson's texting me, Jeremy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's exactly what I do. It is.
Wait a minute, he
It is.
does the same with me.
Yes, it's true.
And you know what? And David, you met my girlfriend, and she was. It was a great honor for her to meet you when we went to Phoenix there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was doing the Harley Davidson across Route 66 from Chicago all the way to Santa Monica, but we curved.
For Ellefson.
And cut down.
Yeah.
Nobody curves for Ellefson.
Nobody curves for Ellefson. Yeah, exactly.
Man, that was
one moment where they curved for Ellefson.
That was a highlight. That really was a highlight.
Well, then your sister was there. Your sister's like a well-known singer, right?
My sister is one of the best female singer on the planet. I really mean that. I'm a big fan of hers.
Well, thank God we used the word female in there, because you said my sister is one of the biggest female singers. You said my sister's one of the big male singers. We got a problem.
You never know.
It could,
2021.
it could happen, man. It could
A whole new
happen.
category.
Anyways, that was something meeting you, because when we left Chicago, it was really, really cold on the Harleys. It was, if I remember, was it in October or something? No, February.
Oh my God.
Anyways,
Shouldn't you got a snowmobile instead of a Harley?
Hey, you could have been on a Skidoo instead, Rick.
yeah, and the guy that people that were like accompanying us.
Yeah.
Excuse my French. I haven't done an English interview in a while. They
okay.
said to us,
Good.
they said, it's going to get warmer. It's going to get warmer. It's going to get warmer. But as soon as we curved towards Phoenix to go meet Mr. Ellefson, it got really warm. It got warm as hell.
Sounded like you called me Ellefson. Maybe that should be the new heavy metal name. I just put an H in Ellefson.
Yeah, Ellefson works. That's a great album.
Yeah, right.
That's good.
awesome.
This is how, it's so funny. We've done a song and we've never even all like hung out together in the room. And I think I can speak for all of us. We hate phoning this shit in. I mean, I think we all, it's just not what we would prefer. Yet it's just kind of the world we live in, budgetary wise on a lot of things. But when making records and this stuff, we'd always prefer to be in the room. Rick, as you were sending stuff over, and Jeff and I mean, literally right before we hopped on this, I just got a Dropbox from Jeff on another song we're working on. So this is just the world we live in our little hit factory world. We're pinging shit over to Italy, to Andy, and it's going up to London to be mixed. And we're, Jeff's in LA and I'm in Phoenix, and it's just,
and we don't
live.
Even blame it on COVID, really. I mean, this is because we all live in different states, cities, even countries. This is the way we have to work. We're forced to work this way, just by default. And luckily we have this technology. We have the Wi-Fi and just everything that is available to us to be able to create this way. And I've been doing this, oh my God, since back in the day when we were still using cassettes as demos. I mean, I was in a band called Talisman since 1990, and we were sending stuff over from Sweden like snail mail. It would be when this technology came along, I'm like, oh my God, imagine what we could have done if this was around then.
Right. And just think of how expensive it would have been if it was 1990 to fly to Italy, UK, and all the studios. And
absolutely. No, and we dealt with that. I mean, I would do my vocals on a crappy little 4-track studio, and once we got the kind of the run of the what we're going to be doing, then I would fly, because then I would know kind of what the program is. I didn't have to spend a month or two to sit there and churn out the songs and create and carve them out. We knew what we were going to do once I arrived, and that helped in terms of, okay, we have to pay for a ticket, got to get a hotel, everything that's involved in that. I'm done with the vocal. I can go grab a snack and get on a treadmill. It's great.
And then the other thing is always like, hey, by the way, can you make sure you record while you're singing or while you're playing? Because then we can do playthrough videos, which I think we're all pretty exhausted of the first Zoom playthrough videos. But sometimes, like, look, this is, part of it, obviously, COVID lockdown, which is kind of opening up, at least for us here in America. But just in general, I mean, it's just kind of how this stuff is when you live in all these different parts of the world.
No, listen, it's the same for interviews, by the way. We used to have to go to the venue and hang out and blah, 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 and find the press. hop on a Zoom. It's so much better.
And it's funny, with the Zooms now, it's like you can actually do it at a reasonable time and the artist in a reasonable place. And even you can even talk to people that you wouldn't necessarily get to talk to if it was in person. It's like when Paul, like Mitch, we interviewed Paul Stanley and Gene. We're not going to interview Paul and Gene in makeup backstage at the Bell Center. But if we got them on Zoom in the middle of a pandemic, perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Worked out.
Or you're dealing with local publicists that make you put all of your recording equipment in the middle of a 40-centimeter snowstorm all the way in your car, like 40 blocks away. Walk back to the.
And then just so you know, when we're on site, we're like trying to get the sound check. We're trying to warm up. We want to get something to eat. And then right in the middle of it, our publicist comes and says, "Hey, by the way, Jeremy and Mitch Lafon have that interview scheduled with you." You're like, "Fuck those guys."
Exactly.
Those guys.
Exactly.
Can you blow them off? We're going on stage soon. Yeah.
Even when I have nothing to do and Mitch Lafon's in the room, I'm like, "Fuck that guy."
Exactly.
Listen, the number of times that Jeremy have been blown off at shows, you just go, "Really? We came all this way?" But anyway, it's all right.
Anyways,
since we're talking about a second song in a Dropbox, are we talking EP? Are we talking album? What is the project here? Is it just two guys having fun, or is it actually let's make a band, let's get these songs out?
Honestly, this whole little rodeo started. I had a little song last year, and I was in the studio, and Jeff's name came up. I came up, brought it up. I said, what do you think? It was my friend John Ecolino, who plays guitar in Icon. He's got a huge studio here in.
Was it because you heard his UFO cover of Dr. Doctor? Is that what got you excited?
It wasn't any of that at all. It's just Jeff is Jeff, And I hit Jeff. I said, "Hey, can I just flip you a couple of bucks and just bang a vocal? I mean, you're a pro. I'm not. I don't like when people lean on me to just do freebies and stuff." So that was where it started. And as we rounded the corner into this year, Jeff and I started chatting again about, let's we're all locked down. We're shut down. Our years, kind of in limbo. So we said, you want to throw some more ideas around, and we both agreed just to give it a go. And I don't know, there's 15, 16 songs we've probably got in the works right now.
Wow.
And some stuff that I think was pretty easy to go, yeah, that's right up our alley. And some things that I've thrown over to Jeff to go, I don't know, what do you think? We're at a place where I think rather than just kind of throwing random ideas, we're much more focused and specific about certainly what Jeff does, how he does it. I love writing for the singer, and I think always it is what you do. As much as us guitar players get all notey and we get all into our shreddnum, if you will, at the end of the day, the girls, the singer, the radio listener, whoever, when the vocal comes in, that's when the story begins, whether it's Jeff or Rob.
That is true.
Yeah. But then how do you,
whoever,
let me ask you, how do you write for the singer though? Is it a lyric in your mind or is it a melody first? And with a Jeff, like a voice like Jeff's, it's like, are you thinking of his timbre of voice and how high of a register he can go?
We're still kind of working that part out. Like Dave said, he had a bunch of songs, a bunch of ideas. It started with one where he kind of hired me to sing on it. When we started digging further into other songs, I didn't feel right in taking any more money. It's like I don't want to see this as a session. Let's do this as we're kind of partnering together and creating songs for whatever reason or purpose they're going to end up. If we're going to get them to somebody else to record them, or they're using something that we're doing in the future. It wasn't until we got like 6 or 7 in, we're realizing, what, we're actually onto something that sounds like us. Doesn't sound like we're trying to write for somebody else. What I'm doing on this is actually sounding like something that's for me, like for my voice. It's kind of catered to my voice lyrically, etc. And even when David's sending me a set of lyrics, I turn those lyrics into something that I can relate to, that I can correlate. And vice versa. When he's sending me a piece of music, I'm not saying, I don't know about this one. Maybe you should change and do that. I take what he gives me with complete respect, and I just do what I do to it. And from there, that's where we're kind of forming. It's kind of the flowers kind of blossoming. Ooh. And that's where we realized, David started playing it to a couple friends in high places. And from there, we started getting interest. It's like, you guys are onto something. I think you should follow through with it as not just a writing partnership. We should actually see where this goes. And so the whole Swords and Tequila thing was kind of thrown in. Hey, you know, we've always loved this song. We've always loved Riot. It's such a classic album, that 40-year-old song, that 40-year-old album, such a classic that we decided to just make a cover of it. From that, Dave's wheels are always spinning. He's always got some crazy concoction, what we can do to better it, further it, take it somewhere else. And that's where Rick came into the picture, because of course, Swords and Tequila, Sword, it's just started coming together so naturally and organically. And when I heard that version, I'm like, damn, this is fun. This is great. There's no real, we're not really focused on anything except for seeing how this develops together. And from that, it's turning into something real.
Let me ask you this real quick. David, you said that you were writing for his voice, and to me, Jeff's voice is very melodic. A lot of the stuff he does is very melodic. He even joined Journey for a while. So is this your sort of coming out in the melodic rock world and sort of stepping away from thrash and metal and making a more melodic album?
Did you just ask him if this is David Ellefson's Journey?
No, I didn't. Did I say that?
David Ellefson, by the
David
way.
Ellefson's Journey.
Yeah.
Start getting used to
that. Mitch, to your point, you know, I'm always writing stuff, always. And I think probably, you know, Megadeth had disbanded back in 2002 for a season. I started with a little group called F5.
Yep.
And that was just a writing partnership. They came up to me at NAMM. I was working for PV at the time. I was doing artist relations for them. Kind of figuring out what the hell am I going to do with the rest of my life without my band now. You know, it's that moment that I think we all fear. And I'd been in one group for almost 20 years. I'd grown up in that group. So my identity, my sound, thrash metal bass player, you know what I mean? There's kind of all these titles that go along with that and sort of what you're known to the world as. And as I, you know, stepped around doing different things, modern rock, you know, modern metal and different things, you know, I could tell fans are looking at me going, yeah, like cool, but you know, we don't want you to sound like Disturbed. You know, we don't want you to sound like, you know, these other things. And so I think that was and Megadeth, I think, even went through that. We had a record called Risk, which is probably taken more bullets, you know, because
I like Risk, by the way.
I do too. I think it is. But what we learned from it is when you know, again, when you buy a Chevy, you buy a Mercedes,
you want the brand. You don't want to buy a Coke and have Pepsi in the bottle. I mean,
it is. Yeah, exactly. Well put. Probably the best, Coke or Pepsi, you know?
Right.
So as even Jeff and I, as Jeff was in Journey, Megadeth did Risk. We've done these different things. The reality of it is there is an identity that's brought back home to our names, you know? Jeff certainly with Yngwie, me, you know, thrash metal origins with Megadeth. And with that said, we're respectful of that. And Jeff has his own solo career. He's got Sons of Apollo. I've got Megadeth. I've done
He's got Soto
solo stuff, you know. And one of the things we decided with this too is that, you know, leave the Soto band over here, leave the Ellefson band over here. Let's come together as just using our last names as and I think we both agree we kind of have the Hughes Thrall, Whitford St. Holmes, Coverdale Page, you know what I mean? There's kind of this instant recognition. You don't have to like rebuild, you know, a new band name or something. It's like, just be very transparent with it, you know? Yeah. And so what does it sound like if, you know, the guy from Megadeth and, you know, and Jeff's career, you know, Ellefson-Soto, we come together. And I think we're having fun defining that, and it's fun to explore it because we don't have to come in and just everything has to sound thrash metal, and everything doesn't have to sound like the first Yngwie record either. You know, I'm not gonna lie, we are kind of going there on some stuff, and it's fun because it's kind of the obvious, and I think we all go, that's
yeah. You feel like a teenager again.
It is, and look, when we get excited in the room, you know, and Rick, you know, when you're writing with your band, when everybody's kind of lip curling, going, you know, you kind of know you're hitting the juice there. Yep. But at the same time, this has been fun for Jeff and I to explore, you know, some different things that aren't just probably atypical of what you would expect for us. And, you know, as a friend had said to us even last week, you know, kind of just to reiterate, you know, when you want 10 great songs, you write 20 or 30 to get those 10, you know, and that's kind of the journey that we're on right now is, and I think you
Keep
kind of
using
know
that word journey. What's going on with this journey
What
word?
is with this?
Man.
It's the cursed J word. Let's remove it. The only J's I want to hear from now on is Jeremy and Jeff. That's it.
There you go.
Pick up sticks. How about we?
But
Mario Speedwagon doesn't fit into this anymore.
let me ask you though, do you get to stretch out the sound and really experiment and start bringing in keyboards and loops and do all kinds of different stuff, or do you still have to sort of stay within your lane and say, okay, still melodic hard rock?
One of the songs we were just talking about that I just sent Dave a version of. I'm version 3.0 now. I put versions on every new take that I send so we don't get confused. Wait, which one is that one? You got to look at the timestamp on there to know which one it is.
And you got to have those for the 2 CD box set, you know.
Right, the deluxe edition. You need that for the deluxe edition.
Very good.
So yeah, and this song it's as stripped down and ballady and melodic as it gets. It's almost at times almost a country flair to it. It's completely out of my norm. It's completely out of Dave's norm. But David, I'm sorry. But in general, we're tapping into all the things that made us tick musically throughout our lives. The things that we listen to that don't necessarily fit within the confines of what we do for a living, our day job, so to speak.
Yeah.
And this is where the joy of working together comes from, is we can do things that we normally wouldn't be doing with Soto, with Megadeth, with Sons of Apollo. And this has always been my credo. This is what I stand for. I'm constantly wanting to live out my musical fantasies and what's in my DNA musically. I don't want to just be typecast and stereotyped as a particular kind of singer. From day one with Yngwie, I wanted the rest of the world to know that I was into Prince and Earth, Wind and Fire and all that stuff, because all they're ever going to see me as is the guitar player singer who sings I'm a Viking. I need to make sure that I plant my seed as somebody who's able to not only to do all those things. I don't want to ever be a master of all the trades, but I want to be a jack of all of them. I want to be able to do them and make them sound believable. And so I get to utilize all these different challenges and influences, and I get to bring them in even now to what I'm doing with David. And this is what we fucking love about music.
Yeah. In fact, it's funny with this song because I was in Nashville over the weekend and Jeff was sending me this singing back. It was kind of a vocal melody I had just lined out. And as with everything I say, Jeff, you're the singer, dude. I'm the bass player. I'm just trying to sound like a singer here. I'm just kind of sketching an idea. And he sent it back. He goes, it sounds could be a little country, a little Nashville. And I was thinking, because I grew up, kid from the farm in Minnesota. I grew up around country. So when I go to Nashville and I see the Opryland on TV, I was like, oh my God, this reminds me as a kid, growing up watching this stuff. And it is in my DNA. And I can be a little square sometimes in that. And Jeff's like, I kind of bring in a little more Motown. I kind of bring in a little more R&B. And you mind if I bend this note and really it should probably jump up a half step, and musically just hitting some stuff and going, you're totally right. And to me, our mutual friend Al Petrelli, who Jeff gets to perform with Trans-Siberian Orchestra every year, Al and I would have these same conversations in the back of the bus. We'd be talking about how singers are counting in halftime and like working on these vocalizing stuff, to really dig deeper into the backing vocal stuff when he was in Megadeth with me. And it's just great when you get these collaborations with people that, as long as we've been doing this stuff, you always have to remain teachable. Mm-hmm. And also being able to, to have your peers. I mean, we're all kind of about the same age, but we've had different experiences. And for someone to, to come in, I know from me in my world to say, hey, how about if we kind of take it over here? And I give everybody complete liberty to do that stuff. Sometimes you hear some things, you're like, listen, I'm really pretty defined. I want it like this, but I love my thing is you bring in the best people to be their best and do what they do. Let them do what they do. Why bring in the best guy and then try to hold him down here? It's like bring the best guy because all boats rise and you get better,
It just seems like you guys are having fun. And I mean, you're collabing with Rick Hughes on this for this awesome song available now, Swords and Tequila. You're talking about having different influences, the different genres, kind of like blending them all together. I mean, David, you're friends with Post Malone. Are we going to get a Post Malone collaboration in this thing or what?
Well, maybe we should, what song could we have him? We got Swords, Tequila. Do we need? He's like the beer pong guy. We should probably get something over there.
Well,
That's his deal.
Posty just did this country thing for Matthew McConaughey's got a charity for Texas right now, and he just did 2 songs, full blown country band, like in LA in a studio, and it was legitimate country. It was awesome. Yeah. So it's like the dude can do everything. You guys are more than versatile musicians to do anything you want. And at this point in your careers, I think it'll be credible. So,
well, I love that with Post that, he's a young guy, sort of defined, with those first couple records as this sort of hip hop guy, very much had his own sound, a very identifiable sound that people are now copying. But then very quickly said, hey, I'm going to do Nirvana and I'm going to do country. And, so kind of like what Jeff was saying, in our careers, the timelines, because we would sign these multiple album record deals and there would be sort of this artist development process. Post lives in a world where artist development is like TikTok. You got 15 seconds for this phase of your career and your next TikTok. And literally artists, major labels are signing artists off of TikTok right now, giving big deals. Yes. I mean, Addison Rae was just on Fallon the other night, and so, I mean, this is a real world that we live in, of where things happen. So,
can I just say I'm impressed that you know who Addison Rae is?
Yeah. Hey, come on, man. I do have a TikTok account. I think I have like 4 followers, but it's just me doing a golf shot. I got to get in TikTok, but my daughter's in TikTok.
Listen to the 26-year-old taking on the adults in the room. Come on. Come on.
Hey, but by the way, the world we live in.
Yeah. I will say this, since we're talking about collaboration with Jeff's voice, if you could get a sort of Tower of Power thing going behind it, I think that would be stunning, because Jeff doing that whole funk thing would be fantastic.
Well, I'm working on that with somebody else already. So it's
good. Because it's perfect.
I love that world. I love that. Yeah. Like I said earlier, that Earth, Wind, and
Tower
Fire,
of
Power, Commodores, all that early 70s, mid 70s stuff. That's where I was really soaking in the music. That's where, and even when I started singing rock, maybe I'm going to say about 4 years before I got the Yngwie gig. So it wasn't really deep in my DNA just yet. Luckily, I was absorbing the Dio and the Dickinson side, because literally, and I say it recently, people are asking me what influence we needed those first few Yngwie albums. I was only 18, 19 years old. I didn't have that voice yet. So all I was doing, I was emulating Dio and Dickinson, or I thought I was. By doing that, I thought at least I could sell the idea that I'm a metal singer and I could sound like that. I could do that. And I love that stuff. But from that, I was starting to really kind of form my world. Because my world came from, like I said, from soul, R&B, everything from Stan Cooke to Steve Perry to Freddie Mercury to you name it, from back in the day. So now I needed my role models to kind of carve me and create me into the metal world, and that's where it all started for me. But then I started going, hey, what happens if you mix it up? And that's where the people I was working with, I don't want that. I don't want the R&B stuff. I don't want that soul stuff mixed in here. You got to go do that somewhere else. And I did. And because I did, I challenged myself to just bring in every world that makes me tick, that I love to listen to, and make sure that it's part of what I deliver as a singer.
What about
Jeff, you sang in an awesome band called the Boogie Nights. They were awesome. I remember going to see you guys and you played at a bar called Gibson's here in Tempe.
Right.
And everybody had wigs. I remember you opened with what is it, Inferno?
Disco Inferno.
I'm like, dude, remember the bass player was killing it. And it's funny, it's probably around the Megadeth Risk era. I think we did a show. We did a private party for JVC over in Vegas, and we were on probably a Southwest flight flying from Vegas over to LA. And you were on the flight. And I remember you're all dapper in your suit. You got a briefcase, and here I am in Megadeth, probably what would be considered the dream. And I look at Jeff and go, that fucking guy's got it going on, man. This guy's walking in, open the mic, dude, sing it, take the cash, off he goes, man.
I made more money than doctors made when I was in the Boogie Nights. We were killing, and we were just doing 70s disco covers, but we were doing it in a certain way. Kind of, we were the Steel Panther of that kind of vibe, that era.
Wow.
And we were doing, our shows were like rock shows. They were packed wall to wall people. It was a proper rock show, and we would actually bust in the rock stuff during the show, and it was just such an amazing amalgam of rock with disco and with the afros and the polyester. It was a lot of fun.
I'll be honest.
5 years. I love that music, and I got to be honest. I just brought this up the other day. The reason I jumped into that, because right around the 90s, when the whole 80s scenes, just the grunge scene happened, I was not into that scene at all. But it seemed like I don't know where my place is musically anymore. I need to do something while I'm waiting to find it or re-find it or rediscover it. And Boogie Nights was my avenue where I can just kind of lie low, but I was raking it in, man. I made so much money with that band.
We need a Disco Inferno.
I remember that. Yeah, it was awesome.
I can't picture you just on stage like belting out Car Wash though. Like,
dude, it was killer. It was so good, man. I swear to God, it was so.
You gotta look it up on YouTube. There's a Boogie Nights promo video. Nights with a K. Wow. Look up the Boogie Nights promo video, and man, you'll see the essence of what we were doing. We were killing.
Hey, now wait. So was it you? Were some of the Steel Panther? Because it was like you guys, Atomic Punks,
they all
right?
started.
You guys were kind of all interchangeable guys, right? Or to some degree.
Ralph was part of that. Actually, before I joined the actual Boogie Nights, because we had like 6 or 7, maybe even 10 sister bands. One was Disco Inferno. The other one's Aphrodisiacs. I was in a version called a Polyester Pimp. So we were all part of the same organization. And my bass player from the Polyester Pimps was Lexi or Travis, whichever one you know him as, bass player for Steel Panther, and the drummer Darren, who sticks it in you. He was our drummer. So all of those guys, that's actually where Steel Panther came from. They were part of that organization. They said, I wonder what if people would be into a metal version of the Boogie Nights, and they called it Metal Shop. From there, it turned into Metal School. From there, it turned into Steel Panther.
I remember F5. We opened for Metal School at the Roxy. It was a Monday night. I mean, the Sunset Strip was dead. Once Nirvana in Seattle happened, the Sunset Strip was
gone.
Dead. I mean, just gone. And Metal School was the only thing going on a Monday night. I remember F5. We did a show opening for them, and it's so funny the years later. I mean, so look, the takeaway I think is if you want to have cred, be in a metal band, but if you want to have money, sing disco, man.
Rick, when are you going to go join the Boogie Wonder Band at the casino?
Well, you know, Rick does the American what is it, American Songbook or
American Story Show.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Thanks
really
a
is.
lot. We did like 300 shows in a couple of years. And then we did American Story Show 2, the Woodstock years. So that was cool too. But
is that based in Quebec?
I hear,
it's based in Quebec, and they do all the Americans, like all the great hits. And it's fantastic.
Wow.
And what's the name of the lady that sings with you? Because she's a superstar.
Kim Richardson.
Yeah.
Richardson. She's great.
But
she's great.
Just to continue on what David and Jeff were saying, I totally agree with you guys, especially when you said once you sign a contract with a label to do a type of album,
right,
you're kind of typecast for that time you're doing those albums. But on my part, I'm a big Zeppelin fan. Okay, let's just take Zeppelin and what they've did throughout their career. If you Kawir, you silly wabbit, you're gonna wound my career. wasn't that
Wesley Wabbit?
Yeah.
Fudd that said that? You
Elmer
silly
Fudd.
wabbit, you silly wabbit, you're gonna wound my career. No, but seriously, let's just look at Led Zeppelin 1 and In Through the Outdoors. I mean, these are my idols, these are my heroes. Yeah, I love metal, but I love the blues.
Yeah.
I love pop. I love hard rock. Zeppelin were never heavy metal.
Right.
You know who said that to me? Robert Plant.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you. I met Robert Plant.
He said he's not heavy metal.
I swear to God,
Zeppelin's
David,
not heavy metal.
David, I was in London, and somebody said to me, I was doing a video for Sword. Somebody said to me, Robert Plant's here right now. He's doing his video. He was doing the video for Tall, Cool One. Remember that?
Great song. That's a great song. Cover that one, folks.
So I was waiting for him. And then I took the elevator he was there on a public phone, because that was in the early 90s. No cell phone. He didn't have that big brick there. He was on the phone.
Jeremy, I'll explain public phone to you after.
I'm well aware.
So I got to meet him, one-on-one. I waited for him to finish his call, and I started to talk to him, and I said, Mr. Platt, I need to talk to you. I'm your biggest fan. I'm in a metal band called Sword.
He didn't run?
I was in London. I said that to him. He responded, Led Zeppelin was never heavy metal. I swear to God. You know what I said to him back?
After?
What?
I said, I beg to differ, sir. Communication Breakdown 1968, to me, is the birth of heavy metal. You know what he said? He said, like he had a sword in his hand, and he went, touche. So, my point is, a singer sings, if it's Tower of Power, if it's gospel, if it's country, if it's hard rock, if it's metal, if it's heavy metal, if a singer is really into his art, it doesn't matter what type of music it is. It's the hardcore fans that's the limit, it seems to me.
Yeah.
Because I sang on a gospel album, Montreal Jubilation Gospel Choir, my sister and I.
Trevor Payne.
Wow.
Trevor Payne.
50 black singer, 5 or 6 white singer. My sister and I were part of that. And I was in a metal band. So sometimes I would do interview and they would go, it doesn't compute. Yeah, you sing in a metal band, like about the devil, and you sing in a church with a jubilation gospel choir.
Right.
Why? I said to him, because I can. That's why. That's why. Because a singer sings. Doesn't matter, man. Give me blues, give me rock, give me pop, give me anything.
The same answer. Why does a dog lick his balls?
Exactly, because he can.
Sing me a song. You're a singer. Come on.
You know what I think we should do? I think we should, Rick, we should have you like recite lyrics. And because there's these double entendres, like you just said, in his heart, in his art, right? You could like write down, there could be 2 different albums worth of lyrics because of your accent, which is so
have the Quebecois version,
lyrical and melodic. Yet it's like, I thought he said that. Are you sure that's what he said? Well, I don't know. I'm going to sing it this way, right?
But we can only use him in the new band Ellefson.
Yeah, Ellefson, exactly. What the Ellefson is this?
And let's not forget, the ladies, they love the accent.
They do. They do.
And I'm not even trying.
Oh my God. Oh, this is great. This is awesome, man.
See? This is great.
David, you asked me a question earlier and I didn't answer it about Metallica.
Yeah.
We were back then, back in the day, Sword, we just released Metalize, and we had really, really good critics on it. Everybody was saying, this is a good album. This is something to, and we, as a band, were always together. We had a car, we called it the Sword Mobile. It was a big Thunderbird 1977. Remember those car, how big they was?
Sure,
so we were in the car and we had David, I'm not licking your balls. We had
thank you.
Megadeth. We had Megadeth's album.
He really appreciates that.
Yes, thank you.
That'll be for the video.
But you listen to Megadeth and we're on the P-Cells tour driving around listening to Stoned Again on Metal.
There you go.
Yeah.
We were listening to Megadeth and to Metallica's Master of Puppet.
Right.
And it was a tape player and it was like this. Flung. With A side, B side, A side, B side. Right. All day. So I'm home. The phone rings. It's my manager. And he goes, Rick, are you sitting down? I says, why? He says, because you need to sit down for this one. And that's when he announced that Metallica reached out to us. So we would do a leg of the tour of Master of Puppets.
Yeah.
So
great tour.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
And it was postponed twice. Seriously.
Yeah.
Because
no COVID then.
No, it was postponed twice because Cliff,
yeah, right.
That's the first thing. And then it was postponed because James broke an arm while he was skateboarding. Remember that?
Right. Yeah.
So we finally did it. And what I remember the most about that tour is the sadness in the eyes of those guys, because they had just lost Cliff. They had just lost him. It was like 3-4 months after, and they were starting with Jason, and Jason was in the dressing room, he was there, but he was half there, And the rest of the guys, when I was talking one-on-one with James, he was always referring to that. I don't want to get too personal because it was a personal conversation, but it's worth hearing. He was telling, we were talking about music, and we go, so you guys be careful on the road. It's very dangerous. And I said, oh yeah, I'm sorry about your friend and your brother. And he go, yeah. And then we talk about music, and then we'll go, so be extra careful, if you go and there's an icy road. He would always come back to that,
Wow.
These guys,
It was the wound. It was still fresh, and that's what in life with anything. You even as something as minor as getting pulled over for a traffic infraction or something that you're doing, breaking the law in the car.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, your senses are heightened again. Oh, I better not do that rolling stop. I better not go over the speed limit. And you do that for a while. That kind of stays with you. Something like that is so big, it stays with you for a long time. Probably still with them after all these years.
Yeah, it's a traumatizing event, right? So
one thing's for sure, I don't want to too much emphasize on this, because there was some very, very cool part where they were having fun. We're having fun with them too. But that's what I remember the most, the sadness. Because the show had to go on, You see, this is like the worst case scenario when they say the show must go on. I had to sing one night when the day my mother died. I had to sing that night. I had to. It was in my contract, and I could have been replaced, but my mom said, never get replaced. If you have to do a show, do it. So I stayed with her all day, and the night I went and sang, The show had to go on.
Happened, 3 years ago happened to me. The very first Sons of Apollo show ever. The very first show we were doing, my brother died that afternoon.
Whoa.
And and we rehearsed, we're ready for it. We're on the cruise. We were on the cruise to the edge, which is, basically the rock people. And the very first show that we were ever going to perform together, I had to go up there and kind of put it to the side. And of course, once I mentioned it or brought it up, even just a smidge, it brought me down. But that's where when you have a band like that, or when you have bands, brothers like you have in Sword, or like David has so many years with Mustaine, and when you have that unity, that's where you're not alone. That's where they're gonna keep you together, and you're gonna get through it together. And I'm sure Metallica, they relied on each other so much more than any other time of their lives or their careers together. It was that moment that to kind of move forward together.
Yeah, and let's not forget, as a highly trained professionals, my favorite place to be on planet Earth is on a stage.
On a stage,
with my musician friend and a live audience. That's my favorite place in life.
Yeah.
Right after it's the studio, but live with musicians and getting
energy, people.
On the stage is like this place you can't be touched, right?
Yeah.
It's like no one can get to you on that stage, just you and your bandmates. And you're right, it is this this very personal space that and you're right, no matter what you've been through, when the chips are down and when the chips are up, of course, but when there are those struggles, it is great to be with, you kind of look around and you go, I've been with these guys longer than I've been with anybody in my life. I've been with Dave longer than my own family at home, my family here in Arizona, anybody, you know what I mean? I mean, he and I we've been together before marriages and kids and, and everything else. And the ages that we met really young like that. I remember, my mom, we were playing Carolina Rebellion, excuse me, in North Carolina. I got the phone call to go home. was on Mother's Day to fly home. They called me and they said, "Hey, we need to prepare end of life care for your mom." I'm like, "What? Like, where did this call come from?" Literally, my hand was on the door of a church. I was walking in to see some friends, and that call comes in. I'm like, "What the heck?" And so I flew home, and it was interesting because my mom's doctor was also a nun, and we grew up Lutheran kids, so I don't know why there was a
Random
Catholic nun in the mix. Yeah, but anyway, but she said, she goes, "We need to let your mom go home and see the Lord. She suffered enough. Let's let her go." I'm like, "Wow, all right. Well, now you put it like that, you're right. Let's do it." And so I remember I sent Dave and everybody an email and I said, "Hey, listen, I got the word, we're going to Europe. This is the beginning of the Dystopia tour, big album, big run." I said, "Listen, I don't know if you want to have a backup bass player. I'd be prepared to cancel shows." And it's funny, in Dave's confidence, he just said, "God's got this one. It's going to be fine. It's going to be okay." You know what I mean? And just as the leader of the organization, as a friend to me, as a man of faith that he is, he just said, he goes, "It's going to be okay. It's going to be fine." And it's so weird. I broke my foot at backstage in Budapest at the last 3 shows. I broke my foot, and Dave's like, "That's it. We're going home. Like, you can't be on." I said, "I'll play." He goes, "You can't play, dude. It's like we're not taking the chance. Go home." So we went home, and it was interesting in that transition. Then my mom, I had flew up to Minnesota, and she passed, and I got to be there with her. And literally 10 days later, we're in South America on tour. And it is, I remember there were moments I'd be on stage and just, having thoughts of my mom, like almost tearful thoughts.
Yeah.
Memorable thoughts. And you're melting 10,000 faces with frickin' Holy Wars, and you're thinking about your mom, you know what I mean? And it's those moments, but it was weird. It's like, Dave, he knew me, he knew my mom, he knew the situation. And, again, as the leader, just said, "No, let's keep moving forward. We're not stopping for this. This will all fall into place," and it's great when you've got that camaraderie. Like you said, some of these bands we've grown up with our bandmates, Rick, you and Sword. I mean, my gosh, you guys have been around.
My brother plays drum.
Like what, 80, 81? Yeah. So, I mean, you guys have been around a long time. Yep. So it's like we get to grow up in these settings that are bigger than the music,
Absolutely.
So it's very cool.
And that's honorable and admirable of, because you, of all of us sitting here, you have the longest history with one person, with one band. And that's always something I dreamed of. I actually used to get hit up a lot. People would criticize me because I was maybe jumping ship from one band and jumping sounds. And I was doing so much of that jumping around, trying to not necessarily find myself. I knew what I wanted to do. I just was never really surrounded by people who wanted to follow that vision of let's do everything. Let's do everything that's and the kitchen sink. I always wanted a queen. I always wanted a kitchen sink band and never had one. And that's what kept me floating around, bopping around and trying different things. But a lot of that course, a lot of that time, people were saying, you know what, you would have a much more structured career and name for yourself if you just stuck to one thing and you stayed the course. And I tried, man. Trust me, I tried. I was in bands where I was just going, okay, this will be the one. And then I'm like, hey guys, what do you think we do? Nah, that's not us. I'm like, oh, damn it. Okay, bouncing. See you later.
Yeah.
And now it's par for the course. Now it's so standardized that you see somebody like myself or David or Mike Portnoy, we're just jumping around and bopping around to different things because now at this point of our lives, at this stage of our lives, we can actually start pursuing all those things that we were missing or the things that we wanted to do. And that's pretty much the essence of how to describe what I'm doing here with David. We're just doing something that clicks and sounds great for what we want to do together. And that's why we're doing it.
Yeah. And it really is all fluid in 2021. It's like even in radio, it's like, 5 years ago, it'd be like, oh, you're not allowed to be seen in photos with any other radio announcer from any of our competition. But now you go to a bar or something when you're you go to a bar and you get a photo with, somebody, a buddy, a radio buddy, and people just see, oh, it's just radio people.
Yeah.
So of course, every time you do your podcast, you get a PD, Jeremy, that says you're off brand. You're off.
Yeah. Jeff Scott Soto singing for Journey, definitely off brand.
And you know, but yet
we
not,
worked together because he was in the Boogie Nights. I mean, that's the
exactly.
Boogie Nights in Yngwie. I mean, come on. There's the two spectrums. Come on.
That's my prime example. That's my prime example of everything being fluid now. It doesn't matter. People don't see genre. People don't see metal or rock or pop. It's just, for me, it's just music, you know?
And the reason I got the Journey gig, I mean, when I started, I met Neil Sean because we were doing a band called Soul Circus together.
Yep.
But when we were jamming or just rehearsing, I did a little keyboard segment on the show, and I would do like a little medley of Journey songs. He said, I don't want to do any Journey songs on the set. So I said, what, do you mind if I do it? And I would toy around. I knew every song. He was like, man, you know, I could go deep into their catalog because that was my life. That singer, that Steve Perry, was so deep rooted into my DNA that when I was in the band with Neil, I was kind of like, this is cool. I get to show off. I get to like show the man himself that where I came from, what he gave to me musically and inspired and influenced and everything. And so from that, it stayed in the back of his brain that when Steve Augeri was having his issues vocally, and what are the choices? We cancel the tour and everybody goes home because it was a package tour with Def Leppard. Means they lose, the fans lose, the Live Nation, everybody involved loses. Or we get somebody to step in that knows the songs, can display the songs as they're supposed to sound, as close as possible, with no rehearsal, with no stopping. I literally jumped on a plane, landed on their day off, and the next day I was singing Journey songs in front of 22,000 people. It was exactly that. No, there's no, I'm not, you know.
So that was really, it was your soft audition. Come on.
No, but I saw Jeff with Journey. I saw Jeff with Journey at Saratoga Springs at the SPAC there, and it was fantastic. It was a great evening. I mean, first of all, anything at the SPAC is fun. It's just a great venue. Yeah. And then, you know, it was perfect.
So, and that's, you know, that's basically where I get to shine as a vocalist, by being able to show that I'm more than just a Malmsteen, I'm a Viking singer, or even showing, even if I was only doing Boogie Nights before my official career, that I'm more than just a 70s disco guy. I want to show the world that I followed the footsteps of somebody like Freddie Mercury, that I want to dabble into everything because I love everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
No. Yep.
Well,
I agree.
Wow, gentlemen, this was fun. Almost an hour. I was expecting to get maybe 20 minutes, and here we are. This is great.
You're talking to a bunch of self-centered musicians. When
yeah.
Of course we're gonna. Hey,
one
more thing about
none of us
me.
has anything to say.
One more thing about me.
Yeah, one more thing about me. Oh, did I tell you a little more about me? You know.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about you, please.
No, the funny thing is, in these kind of settings, it is cool. Is it's not a me fest, you know, because we've all been around those, and there's a nice respect, and then probably there's some of that just comes with age, and we've been sorry, I forgot to put my phone on do not disturb. I don't know.
But that's the thing too, we have so much history between it and amongst each other. It naturally happens when somebody tells a story. It naturally sparks another story. It inspires you to bring up something that's kind of similar or something within the realm of what that person's saying. And we all have 25 of those for each one that person's telling. And I digress. Yeah. The same thing happened when the very first time I met Ozzy Osbourne was somewhere in the 90s. I was on tour with Talisman, and I was in Sweden, and they just performed. We hung out with them after the show at the hotel bar. And Ozzy was he was basically the head of the table. For every story that any one of us had, he had 5 similar or worse versions of. And it was amazing because one person could say something and he would jump in and say, oh, I remember when this happened. It's a natural thing. So you can imagine the amount of years of stories that even, you know, David and I have, or that Rick have, or that Mitch even has, but, you know, interviewing all these people. Jeremy, you don't even know what underwear are. So general,
I have to explain the A side, B side to him later.
God almighty.
The cassette. Yeah.
Well, we should do this again. We should do this again, and we'll just we'll tell stories.
An album.
There you go.
This is an album. It's vinyl.
Hold on. Let me show you the greatest album of all time. Here you go. It's this one, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
That is the best album of all time. Just gonna put that there.
I would probably go Van Halen 1, but at least we're on the same.
Yeah, I'm more a Diamond Dave kind of guy. Yeah.
I know.
I think anybody over 40 is.
Hey, Rick, when is the Sword album coming out?
Well, listen, of course, the pandemic
Slowed it down.
Has put all our plans down. So
Yeah.
we've with David, we've released one single and that I'm sure you all heard, Command. So we're looking forward to it. I mean, probably this year, but I don't know when. You should ask David, by the way.
Yeah, well, ask the CEO. Hey, CEO.
Ask the man behind me who does all the work. Yeah.
The man behind the curtain.
We got to ask the HR guy.
I'm just kidding. David's got his own stuff to manage, but we're anxious for the album to come out. It's ready. It's loaded.
Yeah.
It's ready to go.
And you're back doing shows. I see on Facebook you're doing shows on the weekends in Quebec and stuff. So that must feel great to be back out there.
Yeah, well, he's doing hotel shows. So they put him in there, and people are on the balcony in the hotel.
Oh, right.
It's actually kind of fascinating, right? I mean, right, Rick? I mean, they check into their room, and then they open the door and they watch you play it down in the.
And for the first time since a year, I've played in front of two live audiences, where they were all
socially distanced
with mask, and I never even considered how it would feel, because I'm the kind of guy that goes into it and then I deal with whatever I'm thrown. And you know what? The ambiance was perfect. People were having fun. They had their mask on. I didn't care. And they were cheering like crazy. We had 3 encore. I mean, people are very anxious to get together.
We want to rock. Sure. Twisted Sister was right. I want to rock.
Well, I'm going to blow smoke up David's ass really quickly here. And another reason why it's such a joy, it's so easy to work with him, is because he is on top of his game. He could be juggling 50 things at once, and he's on top of every single one of them. I could text him in the middle of dealing with the Sword release or dealing with something that they're planning with Megadeth or whatever, and he'll get back to me right away, and it's on point. Everything is so detailed and perfectly organized, and I love that about where I love that I'm that kind of person myself, except for recently, and I apologize to him because I'm literally just juggling 50 hats, and sometimes I don't get to things as quickly as I want to do, but I love working with somebody who's so organized and so on top of everything that he's actually committed to. And he's committed to this. And I put absolute trust in David and everything that we're doing together. It's one of the reasons I really love working with him.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Thank you, Grasshopper.
That was so sentimental.
Yeah.
I know.
No, appreciate
this
it.
This has been like an episode of Oprah today. It's been great.
It's been a love fest.
There's a prize under your seat.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
You get a CD. You get a CD.
I appreciate that. I appreciate your kind words, man.
One thing's for sure is that knowing David Ellefson he becomes a role.
Ellefson, and now it's Ellefson?
Yeah, now it's Ellefson.
This is what I'm saying about Rick. This guy writes these lyrical. We thought it was one story. Now it's another. And this is only speaking in English. Wait till we go to French. Oh my God. Come on.
Next it's gonna be Ellefson-Soto.
I was about to give you a compliment, by the way.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Pulling it back.
You know what I wanted to say? I wanted to say you are a role model for us, David. You really are.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Because you've been there. You've been there. And you're there, and when you're with us, when you're with me, when you talk with me, you reassure me. You're a strong guy, man. You really are.
Yeah.
Thank you,
dude. A rock.
Thank you.
Yeah. And it's good to have somebody like that in your life, you know.
Yeah.
Must be these Lutheran roots. Who knew? Protestants were onto something.
Mitch, you're my David Ellefson.
I am. I know. We'll hold hands
I
later
appreciate
virtually.
it, guys.
Aw.
Well, I'm in the company of giants, so believe me, it's
There you go.
all boats rise, man. We
There
all
you go.
build each other
Yep.
up.
All right. Well,
That's it, dude.
Ellefson-Soto, big new single, Swords and Tequila available now, and look out for this big record at some point. I mean, it's going to happen. You guys you said what, 30 some songs in the works. You're going to bring it down to
Yeah.
an album, hopefully.
Yeah,
And
our goal here is to kind of be, we're really deep in the writing right now, and the goal is by May 1st or so to really have a good picture of the lay of the land, and then from there you kind of start trimming the things out that maybe don't fit, and you start to really find the heart and soul of it. So we're in it right now. I mean, we are really deep in the stride right now of the writing.
Perfect.
And
Great.
the creating. Yeah.
awesome. Well, thanks, guys. This was great to see you again, David. Nice to see you again,
Great.
Mr.
Thank you,
Soto.
Gary.
Rick,
Good to
I'll
see
see
you
you on
again.
Facebook. Maybe I'll go to a show at some point.
Thank you, guys. It
All
was a
right, Rick,
pleasure.
everybody.
And we
Jeff.
apologize to Jeremy and Mitch for not giving them the podium to ask any questions. So we apologize. Maybe next
My
time.
favorite kind of interview. I don't have to
I
do
know.
anything.
No heavy lifting. It's
Swords and
perfect.
Tequila takeover. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Bonsoir,
guys.
tout le monde. Bonsoir. Cheers.
Bonsoir.
Bye.
See you
It
later.
was a pleasure, guys. Thanks.
Thanks.
See you, Rick.
See you. See you, Jeff.